So what is Sufi? What is Sufism? What is psychology? And then what does it mean, the art of awakening? So we'll just begin with psychology. Of course, most people associate this with individuals like Freud or Carl Jung and these psychoanalysts and psychotherapists who developed these methods in the modern world. And Freud was very clear that the goal is to uproot neurosis, to make people well-adjusted to society. For him, it was really about that. It was really about being well-adjusted, dutiful, industrious contributor to your society and your job and your things of that nature. Of course, family. Jung, and of course, Freud was complete atheist and said that all these foolish stories of the past were of no use. Jung, his student, broke from him and said, actually, these wisdom traditions, this myth and this story and this narrative that human beings have told everywhere, right? You could call us Homo sapiens, but you could also call us Homo religious, right? Human beings are by default religious or spiritual, if you prefer, because religion is a word that is triggering for some people. But the point is that human beings in every time and in every space, in every pre-modern society, and even amazingly in the modern and postmodern worlds, are by default beings that turn to the unseen, beings that have an inclination to the metaphysical and the spiritual. And so Jung sought to understand that while putting that in conversation with modern science. And since then, there's been all kind of modalities within psychology. I'm not going to get into that today. One could read a Wikipedia article on that. But what we're seeking to do is actually get to the root of what psychology is. And this is indicated in the etymology of psychology. Psyche means soul, and ology, of course, the study of. So this is the study of the soul, or the psyche. This is the study of consciousness. This is the study of the self. Now, we could call this spiritual psychology, which is a bit redundant if you think about it. Any study of the soul is spiritual. But it could be said, and it has been said, that modern psychology took the soul out of psychology because it denies the soul in most articulations, outside of some things like transpersonal psychology and others. But by and large, there's an acceptance of a materialist frame that we don't really have a soul, we just have our awareness that rises from our neurons and quarks firing in our brain that gives us this sense of subjectivity, right? This is the materialist paradigm. The pre-modern traditions unanimously actually start with spirit or start with consciousness and say that the ultimate reality itself, An-Nur, Al-Khabir, Al-Alim, Al-Hakim, is perfect awareness, perfect consciousness, perfect knowing. And that all levels of existence, including this physical, material existence, come as manifestations from this supreme awareness. And that all individuals who possess awareness or consciousness or knowledge attain their knowledge or awareness or consciousness from this one supreme. And so, of course, the world religions and wisdom traditions are unanimous in this. And Sufism and the Islamic tradition is no different. So, in that sense, we're going to give some reference to modern psychology, but this is not a course in modern psychology. We're looking at a spiritual psychology that was developed over 1400 years. And this is where we define the term Sufism. What is Sufism? There are many ideas about what Sufism is, and many conversations about Sufism in the East and the West. But without getting too deep into it, every pre-modern civilization has at its core a psychology, a group of individuals who focus on understanding consciousness, awareness, and the self, and penetrating through the superficial dimensions of selfhood to get to the root of human consciousness. And these are the mystics. These are the spiritual dimensions of pre-modern civilizations. If you look at, for instance, the Indian subcontinent, that the different sects and groups, from Vedanta, whether you have Advaita, Veda, whether you have Buddhism, all of these schools, their primary discussions and debates are about the nature of the self and its relation to ultimate reality. So really, they modern people fight about, nation and tribe and other ideologies and politics. And no doubt the pre-modern world had those things. But the primary thing that people were concerned with was the question of what is selfhood, what is subjectivity, and how do we reach our full potential, and what is the relation to ultimate reality in that regard. And so the dharmic traditions and the different groups that splinter off, you could say, with no exaggeration, that all the schools, their debates really come down to what is the nature of the self, and how do we understand that. And so within the Islamic civilization, which is a civilization that ranges all the way from Spain to China, including the Balkans to Bengal to North and West Africa, East Africa, historically for the last 1400 years, Central Asia, and now the Caucasus, and this great civilization, really civilizations, you could say, from the Malay world and Java, all the way west. The tradition of spiritual psychology within that civilization is Sufism. And the group of individuals who focused and emphasized and dedicated their lives to mastering and understanding, and not just theoretically, but actually implementing the method, the doctrine and the method, the theory and the practice of awakening or transforming or illuminating or enlightening our awareness and consciousness and selfhood to realize the height of the human potential. That group of people are the Sufis. So there's a lot of discussion that could be had, and another course on the history of Sufism and what is Sufism, and introductory to Sufism, and it, inshallah, is a course that we hope to offer if people are interested. But leaving that aside now, I just want to essentially state that that is what we mean when we say Sufi psychology. We're looking at this 1400-year-old tradition of understanding ilm al-nafs, knowledge of the self, how to transform the self, how to attain our fullest potential, how to become enlightened, how to become sanctified. And what all these words mean, we're going to get into. So if some of these things seem foreign, or some of them seem, a lot of connotations and no denotations, don't worry, because we'll get into this.